Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Let's Play FVD and No Limits 2. We are working on something wicked, a former B&M out and back coaster that, through the magic of the creative process, we decided to transform into an out and back Mack. Now, in the last episode, we completed most of the out section, and today we're going to be working on the turnaround, and that will feature our first inversion. We'll also do as much of the return as we have time to do. But first, we're going to import the ride into No Limits 2 to see if it needs any tweaking. As I said in the previous episode, rides often appear to run more slowly in FVD than they do in No Limits 2, and that's just because you don't have the sound feedback, you don't have objects flying by, the terrain, and so forth. So it's a good idea to import it every so often and maybe run the depumper a time or two so you get a better feel for how it actually rides. So kick back, relax, chill. Let's see what we get up to today. Alright, so like I said, we're going to go ahead and export this into No Limits, and exporting is very simple. It's pretty intuitive too. There are other videos on YouTube if you want to learn how to do it. I'll show it to you really quickly right here. Just go to File and Export As, and you get this little pop-up window that allows you to export the track. Under Export Track, you can choose which of the tracks in your listing you want to export, and then you can do it from the you choose a from section and a to section. We've got 5 pieces right here you can see on the left, so we're choosing sections 1 through 5. Then you hit OK, and it will a window will pop up and it'll let you pick your location for where you want to save this track. So go ahead and do that, and then switch over to No Limits. So I went ahead and set up the track in No Limits. It's very simple to do that. All you have to do is put your start vertex down and then basically add an element. Since we exported everything from FVD as one element, it's very simple to just go ahead and add it in No Limits. I also set up the station, set up the lift, the brakes, all that kind of thing. We've got the force screen here so we can see what this looks like as we ride it. I generally like to ride in the back seat on a real ride, and when I'm first testing I like to ride in the back seat as well, just because it gives you a clearer picture of what's going on in terms of smoothness and whatnot. There may be a slight problem on the first drop because I ran the depumper, and sometimes when the track gets close to vertical it can cause an issue. So let's take a ride and see what happens. Not too bad. Alright, that wasn't too bad. I did see a little bit of wobble on the first drop, but overall it looks alright. Remember, we're doing quick and dirty here. We're not trying to get perfection. So for now, we're just going to leave it like that. We're going to go ahead and switch back to FVD. And once we're here, we're going to get started on the turnaround. And you know what? I was thinking about it. In the earlier episode, I said I didn't see a reason for creating multiple force sections. And when I came back into this, I actually thought of one good reason for doing it, and that is because if you want to look at something, if you want to look at one portion of the graph, if you have one long force section, it takes a little bit of clicking around like this to find what it is you're looking for. So if I were to end this force section right here and add a new one, I could rename this out section or something like that, and that just makes it a little bit easier. So that's at least one benefit of creating multiple force sections. So let's see, I might actually do that right now. Let's just make this a little bit smaller because we're going to be coming down out of this hill and going into the turnaround. So let me make that just a little bit smaller, and we'll add a new force section and see what we can do here. We'll get it to about right there. And then let's add a force section. Alright, so we got a new force section. Let's make everything dynamic again, or make the roll and the lats dynamic, and make this a little longer. We want this to hit the ground right here, and then we're going to go into the turnaround. Make this about 3.5 G's. We're just getting set up here for right there. Now, obviously, we don't want it going underground here because we're supposed to be back on the surface at this point. So we can just make the duration of the negative part, the negative G section, a little bit shorter. Take it down to 0.3 and append again, and here we are. We're all set up now for the turnaround. Coming down here, we got about 55 miles an hour. Looks pretty good. All right, so what I see happening right here is we go up in here, we do a corkscrew around into a turnaround. Like I said before, very similar to Val Raven's. So this will take a little bit of adjusting. This is going to be our first real foray into using the rolls. So to create an actual element, aside from the simple techniques that we've used so far, just sort of bending the track a little bit to go left to right, we're actually going to do something a little more difficult. But you're going to see, excuse me, again, I still have a cold, but what you're going to see is it's really not that hard to make something like a corkscrew or something like that. It's a fairly simple element. And this is the way that I do it. I'm sure there are other ways to do it. I've done it other ways that are more, that involve more different sections, different types of graphs and so forth. But for now, I'm going to do it a very easy way. So we've got 3.5 here. I'm going to append, and I'm going to switch this right here to a quartic function and extend it just a little bit. And I do this same technique sometimes for making those the camelbacks and bunny hops with the quick directional changes. This seems like a really quick way to do it. So I changed it to quartic. I extended it to about 2.4, which is probably going to be too long, but this point is going to involve some just fiddling around to see what we can get. So I'm going to take this down to about not all the way to 0. I'm going to take it down to about 0.8, it's a little below there, 0.6 or so. And you see that looks pretty weird, but we're going to correct that in just a minute. And I'm fairly certain that this is going to be too long, but we'll fix it. So now let's take the roll, take off dynamic, shorten it. And I'm going to put it to just about the same spot right here where we start this change in the normal force. Append, and I think this was 2.4. Let's just type that in there. All right, and this is quartic already, so I'm going to go ahead and start rolling. And I'm going to just add a 0 here real fast so we can see what's going on, 170. I actually want it to roll the other way, so let's make it negative. And you can see that looks nothing like what we're looking for. So first, let's get rid of some of this, because what's happening is it's staying positive. Sorry about that. It's staying positive for too long here. We want the action to start happening somewhere around here. So let's just make the duration of this positive speed a little shorter. And you see that moves that back, so let's move this back just a little bit as well. And we're starting to get more into the kind of thing that I'm looking for. Let's take a quick ride on it. And you see as well, looks okay. You also see if you watch the normal force amount, just when we hit the top, we're just at about at 0.5 G's, which is just about right. The roll is not enough, actually. We'll go ahead and add a little more to this because we don't want it going straight into the ground. Let's see if I can extend this a little bit to what happens. All right, let's leave it there. Yeah, that's probably too much now. Let me unroll it just a little. Whoops. Going downhill just a little bit more. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and append once more. We're back up to, this was just a quick dip down and back up to 3.5. We're going to append and append, and this should continue around in a circle. Now you see it's going upwards. Do I want that? The one thing I don't like is if you watch a real coaster, especially a modern coaster, you'll notice here, let's just take a ride on this real quick. once we get the roll, we're rolling, and then once we get right here, it's just a solid turn. Now, that happens on a coaster, but at the same time, I think, and forgive me for not being technical with this, but you'll see the ride adjusting a little. It'll be banked a little bit, 50 degrees, then it'll switch to 52, 55, and it'll switch back a little bit. It just seems to be more dynamic. So I don't like to just maintain a solid roll like this right here. So if we keep this on dynamic and just make this a little bit longer, I just find it kind of boring when the you can see there's no movement at all. We're going down and up a little bit, but the bank is just so perfect that it's just not very exciting, I think. So we have two choices here. I could go into another roll. I have what to decide here, what to do. We came down, we went into a roll. We could go into another roll back out, which might be kind of interesting. I might go ahead and try that, but first, another choice would be, if you recall, I said I wanted to do a multiple down section, something like lightning rod. So I could come up here, straighten out, and have a multiple down into this ravine again, and have it going and twisting, changing direction constantly the whole way down, which might be kind of interesting. Let's see something here. So we've got this roll. Let me change this just a little bit too. What to do? All right, I'm going to go ahead and try the corkscrew one time. And let's see what happens. This is too long. Let's move this back a little bit. I'll try it, see if I like it. If I don't like it, I'll just make it the same thing, the double dip that I was talking about. Let's make this about one. Let's make it two. We're going to make it quartic again so we can get this nice bump function, which you can achieve also, by the way, using two cubics. We could do it. It's just easier with a quartic. We could do one cubic going down to this amount and one cubic going up in half the time of this whole function. I just think it's easier to do it this way. So let's take this down again. But that's where you start to get more control over things. We could make one section of it longer, one section of it shorter, just to change the flow of the ride a little bit. That's when you start to gain more control over what's going on. I'm going to take this off dynamic. So that's a more advanced technique that we can try on the next ride. But for now, like I said, quick and dirty, we're just doing something so that we can all get the hang of working with FVD. So let's put this right there. Make it the same, and I'm just going to do the same exact thing I did the last time. Negative, let's say 180. Not 1800. Not 18. Not negative. All right. Now, obviously, this is not how I want it to look. I would want it to be up a little higher. I can fix that. For now, I just want to see what this ride's like. What does it feel like when it comes in and out of this? And actually, let me go ahead and add the end of this to it. And change this a little bit so it's a little bit higher. We can actually go all the way around to make this so that it's going straight when it comes out of here, if we want. It's going to look a little bit weird. Roughly straight. Do I like this? All right, so we're going to be coming down here. Obviously, we can pretty this up. It doesn't look so good right there, but we can fix it. So 2 rolls, one after the other. Let's ride it all the way from the start and see how that goes with the flow of it. I think I do like it. I think I like it better than having it come up and then go into a triple down. We can still do at least a double down coming out of this roll. So I think I will keep it. It's a nice change of pace from what we have so far. It's amazing how much different it rides in FVD versus No Limits. Yeah, I think that's a nice change of pace. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm just going to have to fix this up a little bit. So here's a good tip, actually, for this. One of the things I've discovered in No Limits over my time with using it is that oftentimes, in order to correct something that you want to correct, say at this portion of the track, right in here or right over here, oftentimes the easiest way to fix something to start is to correct what's going on before it. Because remember, everything that's happening is based on forces. So when you change forces here, it changes what's going on down here. And I've just discovered, let me see here, doing something farther back can have a big effect on what's going on later in the track. So let me see something. Obviously, if you make a big change, it totally destroys the entire track. But I think what's happening here is this roll is pretty fast. It's not that fast. This looks kind of weird to me. I wonder what happens if we make this a little longer. All right. It's all right. Not the best thing ever, but that'll do. So you see that wasn't too hard. Now we could really spend a lot of time. It looks pretty symmetrical from here, which I kind of like that. Let's see what it looks like from the top. I definitely like the way it looks from the top. Remember, we could spend a lot of time fixing this, getting it perfect. It's not 100% what I would want it to be, but for the purposes of our video, it looks all right. It'll do. So what we're going to do now is just move this over here. This got to be much shorter, by the way. We're going to make this... I was going to say 2-0, but the idea I have is if we're going to make this like the lightning rod double down at least, that one is constantly changing direction. So I was going to make this just straighten out and go down and sort of bounce around down here. But it might make a more interesting feeling if we don't go directly to 0 and we start going down around here. So let me try something. This is going to have to be shortened because it's just way too long right now. And a pen. Let's make this go down to negative. Let's make it so the negative g's increase. So let's have this about negative. Whoops. We're not going to be able to see what it actually is because this part is longer than where the laterals go, so we've got to move that forward so we can see what the actual negatives are at the end of this segment. That's too much. Oops. Click on this one. let's make this like a step. So the first down should be about -5 or something, and that'll give us. I'm taking this out altogether. This is the section right there because this is going way too high, obviously. All right. All right, we'll have it go off to the side like that. One thing I could do right here is, I said a moment ago that we could make this 2 cubic sections. You see it's 2.2 seconds the entire thing. What I could do is make this 1 cubic section of 1.1 and another cubic section of 1.1 and have the first one go down and the second one go not quite as high. And the reason I would do that is because now I don't particularly want this to be that high up, although yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Alright, so let's make this cubic, and this will give you an idea of what I was talking about. So we're going to make this 1.1. Don't panic, it's going to look a little bit weird for a second. Then we are going to append another cubic section of 1.1. Have it go up a little bit. And you see there, now this is going to allow me to control that a little bit more, and I think I like that. Alright, although let me see what I can do about this. I don't know so much about that. I'm going to change this just to 2.0 real fast so I can see if we are roughly parallel to the other side. That's alright. Go ahead and add that and append here again. Alright. Wonder if we could get something to come down right there and then go down in here some more. So we could at least get kind of a triple down. It's more like a double. But then that's all in a straight line. Let's make this dynamic. I'll just shorten this a little bit. Pen another level. Take it up to 3.5. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit more. And now you see that's already too far underground, so let me move this a little bit more. Whoops. Alright, that looks alright. And then let me get some of this turning action going here. Just a little bit. And it looks really dull in FVD, but I feel like it's going to look a lot better once we get this up into no limits. Alright, so do I have time to do the rest of the double down? I think I'll keep that until the next time we've got. Let me go ahead and do it. It won't take but a second. So we're going to add some more. And this time we really want it to go much more negative than it did. So we're going to go negative 1.2. And Oops, I made it dynamic, so it was changing the whole thing. So 1.9, I don't want that. Let's go about 1, because I want to start turning the other direction just to give some. Sometimes I just go ahead and type it in just to see if what I'm doing is right. See, that's going a little bit high, so what I'm going to do here is take this down just a notch. That's better. But then that's going to make this negative 1.6, and I don't think I want it quite that much, so let's make it 1.245. Go ahead and append. We're going to have to append to this as well. And let's see where this thing is headed. Let's do some more. It's going to have to come back up to 3.5 again. .6. And remember, there's supposed to be like a gully here, so I don't know about that. And then let's append one more time. I do kind of want it to cross over this because I like the fact that this drop dives underneath that. And that looks alright. And let's just, for the sake of argument, see what happens if we take this to 0. And that obviously looks weird. I'll correct that the next time. We can leave it like that for now, though. Alright, let's just get back here a little bit, ride it one more time, see what it does, what it looks like from here. Alright, I'm going to leave it like that for now. We'll do the same thing the next episode. We will come in here, take a look at this, just to see, and we'll import it into No Limits, take a look at it, see what it looks like, how it rides, and whether or not we like it. I also am not 100% sold on this profile here, the way this looks. It looks kind of odd to me. But at the same time, another thing to consider is this is supposed to be in the woods at this point. No one's going to be seeing this. The only real views that people are going to be getting of this entire section, let's see, there'll be trees here and so forth, so it doesn't look that bad from this angle. From this angle it looks okay. That is one thing I do generally try to take into account on my rides, is the aesthetics of it. Let's see. We're going to need to work on that a little more. So we'll do that in the next episode. We'll work on that some more. It's a little bit wonky right through here. We'll fix that up. I think I can do better. We'll work on that. We'll get more of the back section done, and then I think I'm going to end this with another surprise. The next thing I want to do is add, if you can believe it, a excuse me, Norwegian loop. I'm actually a partially buried Norwegian loop, actually. I'm thinking somewhere over here, right at the very end of the ride, there should be a Norwegian loop. So next episode, we'll correct this, create a few more bunny hops, and then we'll work on the Norwegian loop, the brakes, all that kind of thing. So I'll see you the next time. Like and subscribe. Take care, guys.